What's going on, everybody? Wasn't expecting to make a video today, but there was, of course, an update about the whole Ezra Miller situation right after I posted yesterday's video. If you haven't seen that video, I highly suggest you go check it out because it has all the incidents that Ezra Miller has been involved in up to date, and it might be the reason why today's content is going to be happening. So this article came out about an hour after I posted my Ezra Miller video yesterday, and it says, Zaslav's first movie crisis. What to do with Ezra Miller, the eccentric star of Warner Brothers' $200 million Flash franchise launch. For those of you that don't know, the Flash movie was supposed to come out years ago, but it has been postponed so many times. It has finally been filmed after they got like their fourth director, which is the same director that did the recent It franchise. The Flash movie was actually supposed to come out this year, but it has been pushed back to next year in 2023 of June, and the reason for that is they said there's a lot of special effects that need to be made, and unlike Marvel, DC usually does some pretty good special effects, so they take their time. For those of you that do not know who David Zaslav is, he is the new CEO of Warner Brothers Discovery. Some people might be confused. They're like, oh, I thought AT&T owned Warner Brothers, but AT&T actually merged, or I should say Warner Brothers merged with Discovery, so now it's one whole company. And David Zaslav has said that he wants to take the DC properties and make it as popular as the MCU, hopefully without all the jokes. Zaslav has been making waves already. He's been cutting projects. He's been saying certain movies are not going to be on HBO. They're all going to be in theaters now. He does seem to be ruling with an iron fist, but it does also seem like he's making some really good decisions because he has said that he wants to make an animation studio just for the animation stuff. He wants to make a DC studio just for the DC stuff. And then, of course, like just everything else, all the other movies in another studio, which I think is pretty smart. But it does seem like his biggest problem right now is going to be this whole Ezra Miller situation because it seems to be getting worse every freaking week. Now, a lot of this article is just kind of talking about the stuff I talked about in yesterday's video, but I did find this section pretty interesting. Deadline has heard that the studio has tried getting help for Miller, but the troubling headlines continue to pile up. Could you send a potential liability on a global publicity tour and have the actor anchor a huge studio franchise play? There is no winning in this for Warner Brothers, one studio source tells us. This is an inherent problem for Zaslav. The hope is that the scandal will remain at a low level before the movie is released and hope for the best to turn out. Sources said that even if no more allegations surface, the studio won't likely keep Miller in the Flash role in future DC films. That would mean replacing him in the future, but there is still a $200 million investment on the line with the first film, and the Warner Bros. Execs have been cringing at each new press report. The article goes on to say Zaslav has several choices and he will make one of them soon. He can pull back on heavily promoting the summer 2023 film, confining it to some P&A and no publicity tour. Or he can relegate it to the streaming with HBO Max and take a write-down. Or lean in towards making the movie a hit and then drop Miller if they can't straighten things out. The article does reference how WB did this with the whole Johnny Depp thing, but we kind of know how that turned out. So as of right now, unless Ezra Miller does a complete 180, I do not expect him to be the Flash going forward, and this is going to add a lot of questions to what the future of the DCEU is. Now, I know a lot of my subscribers are from my old comic book days, but I have mentioned this. We cover all of this stuff on Batman News Weekly. I highly suggest you go check that out if you want to stay up to date with things, because one of the things we have talked about on the podcast before, everyone thinks the Flash movie is going to like rewrite the DCEU, which it more than likely can, but there are rumors that they're building to a Dark Crisis type event. I should say a crisis type event, not a Dark Crisis. That's kind of what's happening right now in the comic books. But a big crisis event, kind of like Avengers Endgame, could be the way to reset a lot of actors and get rid of some other actors. But if you are not going to continue with Ezra Miller, you don't even have to worry about any of that. Personally, if I was in charge here, I think you only got two things that you can do. Because Ezra Miller has to be replaced, so if I was going to replace Ezra Miller but try to keep it in continuity with what people know, you automatically replace him with Grant Gustin. And I know some people are not going to like that, but they've already done a scene together on the Flash show when they were doing their Crisis event, so there's continuity there, and plus, Ezra Miller's Flash didn't even have the Flash nickname at the time, and Grant Gustin's Flash did. So you could just shoot another scene with Grant Gustin showing up and saying like, I am the real Flash. Personally, if you've ever heard me talk about the multiverse, I hate when people are different. Like Barry Allen should always look like Barry Allen Allen. I hate when they use mix and match because that's not the way the multiverse works. I'm not going to get into that, but the second thing you can do if you don't replace him with Grant Gustin is you just bring in Wally West. That means you can cast a whole nother actor and you don't have to worry about what is happening with Ezra Miller or Barry Allen. You could still say that he just got lost in the Speed Force or whatever you want to do to get rid of him, but bringing in Wally West just means like, okay, that's a character that exists in the DCEU. That is a character that has a lot of popularity, and it's an easy plug and play type of thing, and I think you can start going forward with a Wally West, and that might be the best option here. Either way, it doesn't really matter what they go with. All they need to do though is get rid of Ezra Miller and just kind of wash their hands of this, because personally I don't see this whole situation ending well. But those are just my thoughts. Let me know your thoughts in the comment sections down below. Again, if you didn't see yesterday's video, I highly suggest you go check that out. But as always, ladies and gentlemen, I am your host JUICEbox. Around you wake up in the morning, ask yourself something about my daily dose of juice. See you guys next time.